And I'm showing up as an investor for the last 30 years, consultant for as many years, coaching businesses for the last 15 years. I started a mentoring program 5 years ago, and I'm having a 21-day business challenge starting every month. Compensated. The Bill Gates of the world, the Elon Musks, they create something for the world, for people, but they also do charge for that participation. They charge money. And so they grow. And that's energy. I think that's the right way of doing it, because then you can provide more to the world, as opposed to those that are totally other centered, but they don't ask for anything. They become diminished. They can't have as much say so to expand or grow. Because I connect or communicate with a lot of nonprofit organizations. They struggle with money and finances, and simply because they haven't been able to communicate the value that they offer and the exchange that they should receive for that. So that's what I'm starting to understand, that we all have an obligation to provide value. And Peter Demers in the book says to be able to make the choice and the action at this moment to be able to create the greatest net value. And that's the essence of his whole book. That one question is his entire book. He digs deeper, a lot deeper into Robert Hartman, the values process that he developed, and differentiating between values, value, and value judgment. So if we take it at the face value that VQ is more valuable than IQ and EQ, this is important if that's actually true. At least it's on the same equal level as that, to be able to have a better understanding. So it's a very interesting journey to understand it better and then see how it assimilates into my thinking that I have, because my thinking, of course, is in terms of alignment. How do we align ourselves better with the universe, the world, ourselves, our companies, our people? What is that alignment line? And I've studied that process and I've gotten a better understanding. Now I'm getting more and more clarity of that, because one of those aspects in that alignment is beliefs and values. Beliefs and values. So that drives quite a bit about behavior. If you can understand the person's beliefs and their values, then you can understand how they're going to act or perform, or what kind of results they're going to have. However, if you change the values or the order of the values, or delete some and add some other values, it changes the person and it changes their behaviors and it changes their results, which is very interesting. When I first was introduced to that, the key, I think, is to align them in the direction that they become other-centered. When they start thinking other-centered rather than self-centered, that's a very strong step towards creation of value. And when you continuously do that, then all of a sudden we can do more. I've always thought that we do more for others than we do for ourselves. The mother that will rescue a child and take life endangering situations just to do that, or the soldier that goes out to war to do that altruistically, or the policeman that is willing to face danger because they're doing it for other people. they get a lot. They are giving others. So the thought is start thinking, be other centered, and I think that's probably the some of the messages that he was sharing, and that I resonated for me. And I thought, oh yeah, especially when he said, get rid of the I, the me, the my, when you communicate, because you're making judgment about yourself. When you say I think or I do or this, it's about oneself. When I am tired, fatigued, I think of the 40% rule, I could do more. And so that's the 40-60 rule. And then I thought the flip side, the 60-40 rule is about others. So the 40-60 is about self. The 60-40 is about others. I can do more for others. And that way, it's an attitude. It's a perspective that I made it up. It's made up. But it works. It seems to work so that we show up. It makes it easier for me to go to 60-40 rather than saying, oh, I could do more. I'll give 100%. Well, at 100%, I'm dead. So I can't do 100%. And also, I want to get something back. So 60%, I think is very generous. There's a Simon Sinek had talked to a leader, and he said he always does deals and partnerships 51-49. He would take 49%, the other person would take 51%. And so they asked him, well, why do you do that? Most people would take the 51%, give the other 40%, so you have control and all that. And his response was, everybody wants to do business with me. Everybody wants to do business with me because they have more power, more control. So I thought of that. So that's the 51% rule. But I'm happy with the 60-40 rule. It's really served me well, but it's an attitude. It's just an attitude that we can take to the world. And in essence, that's what the speaker is talking about, is be other-centered, and you create more value. 60-40, now that's a big deal, especially in business. If we do business deal, and I have something that's worth 60% and I give it to you and you give me 40%, that's a big deal for some transaction. And it's probably because we want to have a long-term relationship. It's a longer-term relationship. If we did the other thing, if I got 60% and you got 40%, it's a transaction, but it's short-term. Next time you go, that wasn't a fair thing. It wasn't even 50-50. And it was put upon. So it's a short-term relationship. It's not long-term. But if I continuously go, I'll give you 60% continuously, of course you're going to come back. Of course you're going to continue doing it. It's a long-term thinking, long-term relationship. And I'm okay with 40% because here's what I'm thinking is 60-40 here, 60-40 here, 60-40 here. Cumulative, just like that example I gave you, people do more business. I'm fine with that. I have a long-term gain, and business people, relationships start coming forward. So I'd like it. I'm absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. We'll see where that goes, but it's giving me a great attitude to show up. What if everybody did the same thing? What if they went for giving tremendously a lot of value and ask less than what's fair? All of a sudden, people will start saying, oh, I like him, I want to go to. I think in business, I'm going to explore that.